Cognitive friction might be ruining your website's conversion rate. In this video, I will show you not only how to fix it, but I'll give you a 4-step checklist you can use every time to make sure that you are not leaving any money on the table when it comes to cognitive friction. Let's get straight to the value. What is cognitive friction and why is it ruining your conversion rate? Cognitive friction describes how much mental processing and mental effort is required to interact with and purchase from your website. If it is hard to navigate your website, if it's hard to understand how to interact with your website, if it's hard to understand why they want your product, if it's hard to understand the delivery times and the delivery methods, this all will drastically reduce your conversion rate. So what you want to optimize for when designing your website and building your website and product pages is cognitive ease. Cognitive ease is the opposite of cognitive friction. It means that your benefits and your product is very easy to understand. Your text is concise and straight to the point and relevant for the user. Your guarantees and your shipping methods are super simple to understand and can't be misinterpreted, as well as your website being easily navigatable and just your layout in general being smoothly flowing. And if you want to improve the flow of your website specifically, you can check out the video I made on attention flow, which is just the concept of how well you keep attention throughout your website. So let's get straight into it. I will now give you a hyper actionable 5-step checklist, which you can use to eliminate any cognitive friction on your website, which will drastically improve your conversion rate. So the first step on the checklist to remove cognitive friction is to avoid long and bulky text sections on your website. And I will now show you a really bad example where there's a lot of cognitive friction with long and bulky text sections, and then I will show you the opposite, a good example where they have cognitive ease and where they have perfectly short and concise texts, which removes the cognitive friction. So the first example of what not to do here is Rosenthal, which is a German cosmetics brand for women. And what they have done a really poor job at is the text. They have super long and bulky text sections, which make it barely readable. And the benefits also are impossible to get a hold of. And the guarantees and everything is also super impossible to understand from this text. So what they have done is they have included way too much text on their product page, and they should have contained these in accordions because a lot of it is ingredients and details when it comes to the effects of the different ingredients. So they should just have had some accordions or better designed sections to space out this information and make it more interactive. So the customer doesn't see everything all at once, but can rather see a small snippet of it at a time. It makes it much easier to process, which will contribute to reducing the cognitive friction. So this is a perfect example of what not to do when it comes to cognitive friction and text sections on your e-commerce store. Now moving on to the good example of a website which has text sections expertly designed to reduce cognitive friction. The website is Plunge and they sell an ice bath. And as you'll see here, their text is well managed, spaced out, and you can only see a snippet at a time. And also the best part of it is down here where they have their details very clearly stated and divided into different accordions here, which you can interact with. So you can read them like this and skim through, or you can see which one you're actually looking for and click on this one specifically. So this is a much better text section design to include them spaced out in different compartments in an accordion. And the other part of it is this benefit section here, where they could have written a lot of text like the previous website, but instead they kept it very short and very precise. Pure clean water. Some people might be concerned about the water quality and dirty water circling through the ice bath. So they just write pure clean water. So what they're doing is they are making it impossible to misunderstand. So if you instead here would have written expert water filtering, that would still be okay, but this is so much better because you're getting to the actual value, which is that the water is pure and clean. Dot. No questions, impossible to misunderstand. So I love this copywriting. Control from everywhere, pure clean water, cold water fast, also important for an ice bath. So just the way they have managed these text sections here to be so short, even though these are the main benefits, is an example of really good copywriting and also a very intentional design to reduce cognitive friction. I felt like the difference between a good and a bad text section is super clear now, especially with the two examples back to back. It makes it very easy to see how one absolutely destroys the conversion rate and how the other can really enhance the conversion rate and overall remove cognitive friction from the website. Point number 2 to remove cognitive friction from your website is to avoid vague or ambiguous messaging on your website. So what do I mean by this? I mean that the text on your website has to be impossible to misunderstand. If you have text which can be interpreted too much, it will create cognitive friction because the user has to mentally put in way more effort to understand what you're saying or understand what the product can do for them. So enough talking, let me show you an example. So here we have two versions of the Space Goods website. And Space Goods is an excellent company. They have a great marketing and conversion rate team. So what I have done is I have taken their website product page, which is really good. And I have made the messaging a bit more vague and ambiguous in my own little variant. So I will show you the side-by-side comparison here to their original and the one I have made a bit more vague and ambiguous, so you can clearly see the difference side-by-side of how the messaging should be communicated. Okay, so in their original, the good variant, their texts are amazing taste, impossible to misinterpret. Amazing taste means amazing taste, so it will taste amazing. Sustained energy, it means the energy will last. Calm focus, which is the feeling of focus, but you have the calmness of the focus. So these are very simple to imagine and experience when you're reading it. Then they have the experience sharper focus and sustained energy, which just tells you that you will experience these benefits when purchasing the product. And then you have get a zen-like calm throughout the day, which is a bit more vague, but it's very oriented around what you get from the product. So you get a zen-like focus, and then that is up to you to experience and think, how would that be for you? But still pretty good copywriting. 0 jitters and 0 crash. It's not possible to misunderstand. 0 means 0. So this means no jitters and no crash. So very concise and very clear copywriting. And then let's go to the guarantee, 60-day money-back guarantee. So 60-day money-back guarantee, it means that you get your money back. It's pretty clear, but it could probably be written even better. Personally, I would have written 60-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, just so that the customer can understand that there are no terms and conditions to the guarantee. Because some companies say 60-day money-back guarantee, but then they have some crazy conditions which you have to fulfill to actually get your money back. But other than that, it's pretty clear, pretty concise. So let's see what it would look like with bad and ambiguous and vague messaging. So now we are on the variant which I have sabotaged with vague and ambiguous messaging. And the text now is tastes pretty good, can give you energy, might make you feel calm. So let's start here with tastes pretty good. This is very ambiguous and up to interpretation. So the user has to put in mental effort to try to understand, well, does it taste good or is it bad or is it just not that bad? Why do you say it tastes pretty good, right? So it makes the user have to use a lot more of their mental effort to understand if this tastes like dog food or if it tastes like just whey protein powder or if it's actually tasting good, Moving on to this text, can give you energy. This is also very vague and it sends a risk signal to the brain because it's not certain, which means that they now have to use mental effort to calculate if they will get energy, will they not get energy, right? So this is a perfect example of cognitive friction. It creates uncertainty and requires a lot of mental effort. So this is why this is really bad and vague copywriting compared to their original. And the last of these 3 points, might make you feel calm. It's the same thing. Can give you energy, might make you feel calm. It's uncertain and it's vague. So it requires mental effort and it creates cognitive friction. So let's go further down. Here we have a whole range of mental benefits instead of focus, energy plus calm. A whole range of mental benefits is so vague that it doesn't contribute anything to the product page at all. You have to always communicate the exact and specific benefits your product provides to create the least mental friction possible. Moving on to the bullet points, customers get focus and energy. It's just weirdly vague. Customers get focus and energy. The coffee produces a calming effect. This is just vague because of the coffee produces a calming effect. If it were direct, concise, and targeted, it would be you will experience a calming effect. I mean, yeah, exactly like they had written in their original. This is just unnecessarily vague communication. And best ingredients, it's also just super vague. You don't actually say why it's the best, which of them are the best. You just say the best ingredients. This contributes nothing, and it just creates mental friction because they feel like they have to understand why, how, what do you mean by best ingredients, right? It can make people skeptical even. But the bottom line is that it produces more mental friction and makes them use more mental effort. So this is really bad for the conversion rate. So moving on to the shipping here, the shipping as fast as possible text in the variant I sabotaged. This is just super vague and doesn't give the user the information they're after, which is how long will it take until the product is in their hands? And does it cost anything? That's what they want to know. So make sure to write this as clear as day on the product page. And lastly, the guarantee text. In the version I sabotaged, I've written 60-day guarantee, see terms and conditions. This is a perfect example of ambiguity in the text and messaging, because a guarantee has to be concise and impossible to misunderstand. So the problem here is I'm not even saying which type of guarantee. I'm saying 60-day guarantee. Whether it's a money back guarantee, is it a replacement product guarantee, is it a voucher in the store guarantee, right? And then the C terms and conditions. It indicates that there's a lot of conditions and ifs and buts behind the guarantee. So this makes the text very ambiguous and requires the visitor to turn on their brain much more and put in so much more mental effort. So that was the version I sabotaged, and a perfect example of how not to remove cognitive friction. Point number 3 in the checklist on how to remove cognitive friction is to make it super easy to understand which product variant the customer should buy. And there are 2 dimensions to this. It's 1, make sure that the customer instinctively knows which of the product variants which is for them. So let's say you have a single pack, a 2-pack, and a 5-pack. You should probably name them the solo pack, couples pack, and family pack, just as an example. But make sure that the customer instinctively knows which of your product variants is most likely for them. And dimension number 2 of this is that make sure that each of your product variants are clearly defined and explained. So do not leave the customer guessing what is actually in the different product variants and what's the difference between different product variants. A great example of this is Dr. Squatch. They sell bar soaps with different smells and different levels of exfoliation. So they have a pretty large selection of bar soaps, but they make it super easy for you to know which of these bar soaps you should buy. And how they do this is by these smells like and grit level elements on the product page. So they tell you how it smells like and they tell you the grit level of the soap. So here are 3 different bar soaps. You have the Pine Tar, the Bay Rum, and the Cool Fresh Aloe. And in the description of the Pine Tar, it says it smells like old growth forest. And in the description of the Bay Rum, it says Island Tropics and Spice, and the Cool Fresh Aloe says fresh spring morning. And it's super easy to instinctively know which one of these you like the best, because the smells are very distinct and descriptive, so you kind of already know which one you would like to smell and which one you don't like to smell. And for the grit level, they just classify it in different scales of grit. So if you like heavy exfoliation, you will find the grit level heavy and you would like to buy that. If you don't want exfoliation, you can very easily find the grit level none So this is a beautiful example of how you can remove cognitive friction by making it instinctively easy to select which of your product variants to buy. Point number 4 on the checklist is to make sure that your images clearly show the benefits and functionality of your product. And this might sound intuitive, but you would be surprised at how many stores mess this one up. It's much easier to explain through examples, so I'll show you one bad example of this and one store who does a great job at this. So the store which does a really bad job at this is averoware.com, and what they sell are clothes and gloves with a protective antibacterial coating. So there's a special technology in the clothes which make bacteria and viruses repel from the clothes and not stick to it, so you're less likely to become ill. But when you look at these product images here, this is the first one, and then let's look through. You'll see that the images don't show the functionality of the product, aka this antibacterial layer and reduced illness. They don't show it at all in these images. So this is a terrible job at selecting images to display the purpose, functionality, and benefits of the product. Another secondary benefit and also a huge benefit of the product is, of course, since it's clothes, it's looking good. So the fit and just general colors and material is super important. And I don't think these images do a good job of that either, because it's so far away. This product is the polo, which he's wearing, but the image is so far zoomed out, you can see his shoes and his whole background, but really you want to see the fit of this polo. And they just have some weird angles and weird lighting going on. So yeah, this is an example of what really not to do when it comes to product images. Now moving on to the example of a store which does a great job at removing cognitive friction through their product images. So the store is auk.com, and they sell these self-watering, self-fertilizing, self-growing plant stations, which you can just put on your kitchen table and you will grow different herbs and different plants. So it's a really cool product, but as you see, the product images start right off with showing it with actual plants inside it. They could have just used a studio image of this with just the product, but they actually had the plants in them fully grown. And also moving forward here, you see them on kitchen tables with the plants, and here with someone actually picking out some of the herbs from the plant station, which is showing one of the benefits and how it's actually used. So this is a perfect lifestyle photo. And they also have some small labels on the images to display additional USPs, like award-winning design, #1 bestseller, and European Product Design Award. So yeah, Auk is a perfect example of how to use your product images to work for you and for your conversion rate by removing cognitive friction. The last and 5th point on the checklist on how to remove cognitive friction from your website to increase your conversion rate is to avoid vague guarantee and delivery information. And this is a specific point because it's so common and it's such a deal breaker. The rules you should follow is that if you have a guarantee, state it clearly and concisely in a way which can't be misunderstood in one single sentence. And if you know your delivery times, state your average delivery times in the number of days. So not any vague estimates, state the actual number of days, minimum to maximum, in which they can receive the product. I will now jump into an example of a store which does a terrible job at this, and then a company which does an exceptional job at displaying the guarantee and delivery information clear as day, so that you can see the difference and see what you have to avoid destroying your conversion rate. The company which does a terrible job at this is again Rosenthal. Here you see they have the shipping information here, climate neutral shipping in 5 to 7 days. And then they have no information about any guarantee. But if you add to cart, you will see they have a bar which says fast delivery, which is worthless. You have to state how fast it is. Fast delivery is pretty meaningless. And then they have easy returns. So apparently they have a really good return policy, but they just say easy returns, which creates cognitive friction, because now what do they mean by easy returns? And Yeah, there's a lot of things which now the mind has to put mental effort into understanding, which is definitely contributing to this website's conversion rate being lower than it can be. In other words, they are losing money each and every day by not having super clear-cut guarantee and delivery information available on their website. Moving on to one of my favorite conversion rate designed websites of all time, mantasleep.com, and they do a great job with their conversion rate optimization in general. But for right now, I want to highlight their use and visibility of guarantee and delivery information. As you'll see here on the website, they have try risk-free for 60 days at the top of their website, which states their guarantee in a way which is impossible to misunderstand. It states clearly that you can try risk-free for 60 days, which is pretty self-explanatory. So this is a really great way of phrasing their guarantee. But not only that, if you scroll further down, you'll see that their shipping information here, order today and get it by, and they say the exact dates you will get it by, not just generic 3 to 5 days, 1 to 3 days, but they say you will get it between, in this example, 16th to 18th of May, right? So they have taken it a step further to be even more specific and more clear in their delivery times. And also, they state their guarantee once again further down here. So they state it 2 times already in the first 2 folds of the product page. And here they give even more details about the guarantee, so it can't be misinterpreted, misunderstood. It's clear as day. They write, you're 100% covered. If it's not for you, you send it back within 60 days for quick, no hassle refund, that is perfect. They perfectly communicate to the customer that they're 100% covered and that if they don't like the product within 60 days, they can get a hassle-free refund, which makes it super clear how the guarantee works and that they actually get their money back, not some replacement product or a coupon in the shop. If I were you, I would really take a couple minutes of my day and check out the copywriting on mantasleep.com, because it is truly next level copywriting for conversion rate optimization. I would suggest to take some inspiration from them to improve the copywriting on your own store and explicitly how you state your guarantees and delivery information. I hope you took some notes and wrote down the 5 actionable steps to remove cognitive friction from your website to ultimately improve your conversion rate drastically. If you felt like you gained some actionable value from this video, I would sincerely appreciate if you left a comment down below summarizing your biggest golden nugget from this video, so that others visiting the video and visiting the channel can view the comment section for CRO golden nuggets. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.